Everything just fell apart in ways nobody saw coming. The architect's world has been shattered, the trust has been broken, and tonight we're diving into the most heartbreaking, explosive, and jaw-dropping moment in recent wrestling history. Seth Rollins, the man who stood tall against giants, who's overcome every obstacle thrown his way, is facing the one battle he never prepared for. This isn't about championships. This isn't about glory. This is about betrayal, pain, and a man pushed to his absolute breaking point. Stick with me because what we're about to witness will leave you speechless. Before we dive into this storm of emotion and chaos, I need you to do something for me. If you've ever felt your heart break, if you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted with everything, then you understand what we're about to explore together. Hit that subscribe button right now because SLAMZONE is more than just a channel. We're a family that stands together through the highs and the lows, through the victories and the heartbreak. Smash that notification bell because you don't want to miss a single moment of the stories that define this industry. We dig deeper, we feel harder, and we bring you the truth behind the spectacle. Now, let's get into this. The arena is electric tonight, but there's a different energy in the air. It's heavy, it's suffocating, it's the kind of tension you can taste on your tongue. The crowd knows something massive is about to unfold. Social media has been on fire for the past 48 hours with rumors, leaked footage, and speculation that has sent shockwaves through the wrestling community. Becky Lynch, the man herself, power couple partner to Seth Rollins, allegedly caught in compromising videos that surfaced online. Nobody wanted to believe it. Everyone hoped it was fabricated, doctored, some sick prank by internet trolls looking for attention. But as the evidence mounted, as the screenshots spread, as the whispers grew louder, the reality became impossible to ignore. Seth Rollins walks to the ring, and you can see it written all over his face. This isn't the confident visionary we've come to know. This isn't the cocky, calculated architect who dismantles opponents with surgical precision. This is a broken man trying desperately to hold himself together in front of thousands of people and millions watching at home. His music hits, and instead of the usual pyrotechnics and fanfare, there's just silence from him. He's not playing to the crowd. He's not soaking in their energy. He's walking with purpose, with pain etched into every step, his jaw clenched so tight you'd think it might shatter. The crowd reaction is mixed. Some are chanting his name in support, trying to lift him up during what has to be the darkest moment of his personal life. Others are silent, unsure how to react to this deeply personal catastrophe playing out on the grandest stage. A few, the cruel ones, are already starting chants that cut like knives, referencing the scandal, mocking his pain. But Seth doesn't flinch. He climbs into the ring, grabs a microphone, and for what feels like an eternity, he just stands there. You can hear a pin drop. 17,000 people holding their breath, waiting for the explosion they know is coming. Seth's hand is shaking as he brings the microphone to his lips, and when he finally speaks, his voice cracks with raw emotion. He talks about trust. He talks about building a life with someone, about believing that when you give everything to another person, they'll protect that gift, they'll honor it. He talks about the late nights on the road, the sacrifices, the injuries pushed through, all while believing there was someone waiting at home who had his back the way he had theirs. The crowd is completely silent now. Even the haters have stopped their cruel chants because what they're witnessing isn't entertainment anymore. This is a man's soul being torn apart in real time. Seth's voice grows louder, more intense, the pain transforming into rage. He mentions the videos, the screenshots, the faces of so-called friends who reached out with condolences while screenshots of the leaked content burned on his phone screen. He describes the feeling of his entire world collapsing in the span of a social media scroll, how everything he thought was solid ground beneath his feet turned out to be quicksand. Then, the music hits. Not Becky's music. Not the man's triumphant entrance theme. It's something else entirely. The crowd explodes because walking down that ramp is the other person allegedly involved in those leaked videos. The tension multiplies by 1,000. Security rushes to ringside because everyone knows what's about to happen. Seth drops the microphone, and you can see every muscle in his body coiled like a spring ready to explode. The veins in his neck are bulging, his fists are clenched white knuckle tight, and his eyes, those eyes that have stared down legends and monsters, are now filled with a fury that's terrifying to witness. The crowd is on their feet, phones out, capturing what might be the most unscripted, raw moment in modern wrestling history. The other wrestler climbs onto the apron, and that's when Seth snaps. He charges forward with the speed of a man possessed, but security intervenes, creating a human barrier between the two. Seth is screaming, trying to fight through 6, 7, 8 security guards who are struggling to contain him. The raw power and emotion he's displaying is something beyond wrestling. This is primal. This is personal. This is a man who feels like he has nothing left to lose. The struggle continues for what feels like forever. Chairs are knocked over, the ropes are shaking from the force of bodies colliding, and the crowd is absolutely losing their minds. Some are chanting for Seth, others are trying to process the reality TV drama unfolding before their eyes. Through all the chaos, through all the security and the mayhem, Seth locks eyes with the person who allegedly helped destroy his relationship. The hatred in that stare could burn cities. It's the look of betrayal, of trust shattered beyond repair, of friendship turned to ashes. Now, if you're feeling this intensity, if your heart is racing watching this unfold, then you need to hit that like button right now. Drop a comment below telling me your thoughts on this situation because SLAMZONE family, we process these moments together. We don't just watch wrestling, we feel it, we live it, we understand the human stories behind the characters. Subscribe if you haven't already because we're breaking down every angle of this story as it develops, and trust me, this is far from over. Security finally manages to separate the two wrestlers, but the damage to the atmosphere is done. The electricity in that arena has transformed into something darker, something more volatile. The other wrestler is escorted backstage, shouting things the cameras can't quite pick up, but you can read their lips, you can see the lack of remorse, the defiance in their posture. Meanwhile, Seth stands in the center of the ring, chest heaving, sweat pouring down his face, looking like a man who just went through a war without throwing a single punch. That's when the unexpected happens. The Titantron flickers to life, and there's Becky Lynch. The crowd explodes with a mixture of boos, cheers, and shocked gasps. She's not in the arena. She's appearing via satellite from an undisclosed location, and she looks different. Not the confident man we've seen dominate divisions and break barriers. She looks tired, worn down, defensive. She starts speaking, trying to explain, trying to defend herself against the allegations. She claims the videos were taken out of context, that what people saw wasn't the full story, that the media and the internet mob have twisted something innocent into a scandal. But Seth isn't buying it. He's shaking his head. You can see him mouthing the word liar as she speaks. The crowd is divided, some wanting to believe her explanation, others convinced by what they've seen online. Becky's voice becomes more desperate, more pleading. She talks about their relationship, about their family, about how everything they've built together can't be destroyed by rumors and allegations. She's asking for his trust, begging him to talk to her privately, to not let this play out in front of the world. Seth finally picks up the microphone again, and his response is calculated, cold, and devastating. He tells her that trust isn't something you ask for after it's been broken. Trust is the foundation you build on, and when that foundation crumbles, there's nothing left to stand on. He tells her that he wanted to believe the videos were fake, that he spent hours trying to convince himself there was another explanation. But the evidence kept piling up, the details kept matching, and the excuses kept changing. He says the woman on that screen isn't the woman he fell in love with, or maybe she is, and he was just too blind to see it before. The crowd is completely invested now. This has transcended wrestling storyline and become something that feels painfully real. People are crying in the audience, others are recording on their phones, everyone is processing this public dissolution of a relationship that seemed unbreakable. Becky tries to respond, but Seth cuts her off. He tells her that whatever they had, whatever they were building, it's over. Not because of the videos, not because of the scandal, but because the person he needed in his darkest moment chose to make excuses instead of owning their actions. The screen goes black. Becky is gone. Seth stands alone in the ring, and the weight of what just happened settles over the arena like a heavy fog. The crowd doesn't know whether to cheer or cry. Some are chanting his name, offering support. Others are silent, processing the heaviness of genuine heartbreak playing out before them. Seth drops the microphone one final time, and as he exits the ring, you can see the exhaustion, the pain, the absolute devastation in his body language. But the night isn't over. As Seth walks up the ramp, his music doesn't hit. Instead, there's interference. Out of nowhere, 3 wrestlers jump in from behind. The crowd erupts as Seth is blindsided, taken down by a coordinated attack that he never saw coming. These aren't random attackers. These are people connected to the other wrestler involved in the scandal, and this assault is revenge for what happened earlier in the night. Seth tries to fight back, his rage and adrenaline giving him temporary strength, but the numbers game is too much. Security rushes in again, but not before significant damage is done. Seth is laid out on the ramp, and as medical personnel attend to him, the cameras catch something that breaks hearts all over again. A single tear running down his face as he stares up at the arena lights. This isn't a wrestling tear, this isn't acting for the cameras. This is a man who just lost everything that mattered to him in the span of one night, and now he's been physically assaulted to add injury to emotional devastation. Before we wrap this up, I need you to understand something. This channel exists because of you. The SLAMZONE family grows every single day because people like you share these videos, because you engage in the comments, because you hit that subscribe button and join a community that cares about the stories, the emotions, and the real human drama behind this industry. If this video moved you, if you felt even a fraction of what Seth Rollins is going through, then show your support by dropping a like, leaving a comment with your thoughts, and sharing this with fellow wrestling fans who need to see this breakdown. Hit that notification bell so you never miss when we cover the fallout from tonight, because trust me, this story is just beginning. The aftermath of this night will be talked about for years. Seth Rollins, a man who has main event WrestleMania, who has held championships and conquered every challenge in the ring, now faces the hardest battle of his life. Not against an opponent he can suplex or submit. Against betrayal, against heartbreak, against the realization that sometimes the people you trust most are the ones who hurt you deepest. Becky Lynch, whether the allegations are true or fabricated, has had her image forever altered by this scandal. The wrestling world is divided, taking sides, debating evidence, and watching as a power couple implodes in the most public way possible. What happens next? Does Seth seek revenge in the ring? Does he walk away from wrestling entirely to deal with his personal life? Does Becky return to face the consequences of the scandal? Will the other wrestler involved face repercussions, or will they continue playing the villain role that seems to fit them so naturally now? These questions will be answered in the coming weeks, and SLAMZONE will be here breaking down every development, every twist, every emotional moment as this saga continues. This is what makes wrestling beautiful and brutal at the same time. It's not just about the moves, the matches, or the titles. It's about the human stories, the real emotions, the connections that form and the betrayals that shatter them. Tonight, we witnessed a man break in real time, and whether you support Seth, whether you believe Becky, or whether you're still processing what you just saw, one thing is undeniable: this moment will be remembered as one of the most intense, personal, and heartbreaking chapters in wrestling history. Thank you for being part of the SLAMZONE family. Your support means everything, and together we'll continue covering the stories that matter, the moments that move us, and the drama that keeps us glued to our screens. Until next time, stay strong, stay passionate, and remember that in wrestling and in life, the most powerful stories are the ones that touch our hearts and remind us we're all human. This has been SLAMZONE, and I'll see you in the next one.